Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and I expect this to be a long video, so let's get started. Last night during the second anniversary live stream for Final Fantasy XV, we received a great many details, some good and some mostly not so good, regarding the development of Final Fantasy XV and the remaining DLC that we have been waiting for quite some time. Now, I'm probably going to fumble over my words a little bit here because I'm mostly just digging through all the information from the live stream, which I did also watch live, but there's a lot of details to go over, so let's get started. Alright, so bombshell number one of the first things they spoke about during the live stream was the fact that they are going to be canceling production on several of the DLCs that were originally planned as part of Phase 2 of the DLCs. Now, originally these Phase 2 DLCs were supposed to lead into an alternate ending, a, quote, happy ending for the game itself, and this was largely due to the demand coming out of the player base, asking for more information on characters like Aranea, Luna, and Ardyn. On top of that, there were players who were, just not satisfied with the ending of the original Final Fantasy XV and wanted an alternative, and these DLCs were supposed to provide that alternative to them. However, it looks like those alternatives aren't really going to be coming all your way. It was confirmed that production on episodes Aranea, Lunafreya, and Noctis will be cancelled and will never be produced. That being said, episode Ardyn will continue and is expected for a March 2019 release date. It's unfortunate to see that all of these DLCs are going to be falling to the wayside, especially Luna, who probably needed a DLC more than any of the other characters, considering that most people seem to agree she didn't really get the development that a female lead should be receiving in a AAA title. Now, the second bombshell that they dropped after announcing the canceled DLC episodes other than Ardyn was probably the more important bombshell of the two. Apparently, Hajime Tabata has announced that he is departing from Square Enix. In fact, he has already departed from Square Enix and Luminous Productions on Halloween, just about a week ago, a little bit more. He was the person who was handed this project, after it had been in development hell for 7 years. Very little got done with what we originally knew as Versus 13. Eventually, it was handed off to him, and given a short time frame and trying to piece together everything, he put something together for us in a matter of 3 years, expanded on it. Whether or not you like the idea of this whole Royal Edition DLC thing, I think considering the cards he was dealt, I was pretty happy with what he was able to accomplish in that time. So I'm sad to see him leaving Square Enix and Luminous Productions, but apparently it's so he can start his own business and move into something that's, I guess a little bit more control over. There's a lot of speculation going around regarding why Tabata would leave, or was Tabata leaving the reason the DLC was canceled? Did he cancel the DLC and then leave? There's a lot of questions left up in the air. All the same, I hope that Tabata, we hear from him sometime in the future regarding what his future projects are, and he says he's wishing the best for Square Enix and Luminous Productions on their future endeavors. Now, one little positive amongst those two bombshells was that apparently one of the reasons why these DLCs were canceled is because Luminous Productions is moving on to another AAA title. So in order to move on to actual production of that next title, they had to cancel a bunch of these DLCs. And it kind of makes sense. It's very rare for a single player game to get almost 3 years of DLC down the line, and for people to still be remotely interested in it. This is shown by what people describe as, I believe, a $33 million loss coming out of Luminous Productions over the last year. And considering just how long this project has stretched about, I do think it's about time they moved on to something else. I really did want these DLC episodes, but just with the way that it's all kind of panned out, this is probably for the better. We can only hope that maybe one day some semblance of what was planned for those is actually going to be released to the public outside of the short little descriptions we received when they were initially unveiled. We also didn't get any information regarding the advanced level editor or modding tools that were going to be added outside of what we currently have. So there's who's to say those were even getting those anymore. And that was actually the thing I was looking forward to most, because when they showed Noctis in a golf course, I was like, okay, you can do some fun stuff with modding tools, but I don't know, we didn't see anything. So we'll have to wait for some sort of official announcement regarding the level editor and if they have any plans to continue that whatsoever. Now, while those two things were majorly disappointing to hear, especially coming out of a 2-year anniversary stream, they did have some things to share with us that were positive. For example, we got a short teaser that I've probably had on loop a little bit during this video for episode Ardyn, which looks like it's going to be taking place during the earlier days of more recent events. Originally, I thought this was going to be taking place thousands of years ago when he was initially corrupted by the Star Scourge, but it looks like it's going to be taking place sometime in an era where The previous king, Regis, was still a youngin. You know, he wasn't a youngin like he is in some of the flashbacks or some of the, secondary pieces of, I guess, literature or video or anything that we've seen with him. But he's definitely not in the old age and, kind of on his deathbed situation he was at the beginning of Final Fantasy 15. With that, I'm curious because it's going to tell us, how the Empire actually discovered him. We're going to see how he's actually affected the Empire over all the years that he's been there. And even just from the trailer, it goes to show that Regis had to have known Ardyn was who he was during all the events in which we actually saw him throughout Final Fantasy 15, just from what the teaser shows us alone. So Ardyn is a character I'm looking forward to. Darren DePaul's performance of him has been fantastic for the English VA, and I'm looking forward to seeing what this final DLC is going to mean for the conclusion of the DLC of Final Fantasy 15. On top of that, apparently Final Fantasy 15 Comrades, which is the multiplayer DLC that came out, is going to be getting a standalone release as well as an update including 10 new additional bosses offered on top of what was already there. I actually rather liked Comrades. It was kind of basic. It was almost like a Monster Hunter Lite or a Monster Hunter done with Final Fantasy 15 style. And there's some pretty impressive boss fights and customization that was in that I really wish was in the main game. Having all the different classes, focusing a lot more on cooperation. It was just something that felt natural to Final Fantasy 15, but at the same time felt unnatural because it wasn't fully fleshed out. With its standalone release, it is going to be receiving that on December 12th in North America, December 13th in Europe and Japan. So, if you wanted to pick up Comrades on its own and not have to buy Final Fantasy 15 plus purchase the DLC in order to do it, you are going to be able to do that as well. I believe they mentioned that if you already have Final Fantasy 15 and the DLC for this, that it is going to be, I think you're going to be able to download it for free in some way. I don't see it here in my notes, but I'm pretty sure that I read that they're going to have some sort of system for people who already own it to make sure you don't need to purchase it again. It was also removed from the Season Pass because it's going to be its own separate release, so it doesn't need to be a part of the Final Fantasy 15 Season Pass anymore. And finally, something that I've been saying I lost all hope in. In fact, in my podcast this week, I brought up the fact that Final Fantasy 15 and Final Fantasy 14, there was always talk of a collaboration that never happened. And we've seen all these other collaborations come and go. Finally, Final Fantasy 15 and 14 will be getting that collaboration on Final Fantasy 15's deathbed of all things. All we've seen is the Final Fantasy 15 portion of the collaboration thus far, and that's also going to be going live on December 12th, along with the changes with Comrades. So it's going to be you're going to be able to do quite a lot with Final Fantasy 15 on that day. The free update's going to have a new character, Mikote, named, and there's no way I'm pronouncing this, Jimel or Ijamel or something like that. And she is going to be guiding you to fight Garuda. Now, Garuda, I think, is a pretty fun boss to stick in Final Fantasy 15. Garuda's kind of a favorite of mine regardless, just because of between the music and her menacing laugh and her cackle and how crazy she truly shows she is in combat. I'm really looking forward to that side of it for Final Fantasy 15. On top of that, there's going to be outfits for the various characters. Noctis gets a Mikote outfit. That's awkward. Gladio gets a Roganin outfit, Ignis gets an Elzen outfit, and Prompto gets a Hyur outfit. Now, like I said, we don't know what the 14 side is getting yet, but Yoshida did provide a comment that seems to imply that we're going to be getting some information on it soon. We just watched the 15 and 14 collaboration video, so what did you think? Truth is, the project came out about 2 years ago, right around a few months before the master build for 15 was finalized, and I spoke to Tabata-san. We discussed it would be nice to do something together since we were both working on Final Fantasy titles in the new generation. This goes without saying, but we mentioned we wanted to focus on mastering 15 first, but we agreed we should build excitement for each other's titles since we are part of the same Final Fantasy franchise. Naturally, it took us a while, but we were to release some much-awaited footage. Well, we were able to release some much-awaited footage, to which I'm relieved. Kind of adventures where the character go on. We would love for you to see. We, the 14 development team, are providing full support from a lore perspective in the scenario. We have thoroughly reviewed and supervised the content. I hope everyone will enjoy this crossover. Now, 15 will soon be celebrating 2 years since initial release. I definitely want to congratulate them, but these last 2 years, lots of fans ask, when is 14 going to have a 15 collab? Well, we shall see. Here I am talking about all this, so people might be able to guess, but I think I'll leave it at that for today. I've been told by the promotional team not to say anything beyond that. So it sounds like we're probably going to find out about it during the fan festival. There is an opening keynote. I wouldn't expect to hear about it there. I'd expect to hear about the collaboration probably during the live letter that's going to be previewing patch 4.5. That's on Saturday at FanFest next week. So hopefully we'll be getting more information about that then. Anyway, what do you think about all this news for Final Fantasy 15? Are you relieved that they're finally moving on to the next title for Luminous Productions? Are you disappointed that we weren't going to be getting episode of Luna or episode Noctis or this alternate ending altogether? How do you feel like we're going to be dealing with the Final Fantasy 15-14 collab on the 14 side of things? Put all your speculations, put all your thoughts in the comment section of the video below. Anyway, that's going to be a wrap for me. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned. We're not too far away from FanFest for 14, and I'll be sure to be covering the stuff that's coming out of 15 when December comes around. Anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Until then, take care.